The first thing you want to do is find the shortest tooth. And I don't think that this chain has been filed yet. And I'm not sure if you guys can see the detail on the camera, but there's definitely, you know, these teeth have banged into something. So we're just going to pick a tooth and mark it, and that's going to be the one that we know when we get back to it, we've gone far enough. So then, you know, I used to use a file guide to file, and I, you know, put videos on YouTube, and guys would be like, don't use the file guide, it gets in the way. And I try it, and then it wouldn't work well. But, you know, filing without the guide takes practice. So, you know, try it once in a while, and you'll keep getting better at it. And I'll show you a couple tips if you're going to file without the file guide. And it's a lot easier to do than it seems like, but you just got to know what to look for. The first thing I do if I'm filing without the file guide is I make sure that my file is perpendicular to the bar. I know some of the directions, they say they want a 10-degree angle, a 10-degree slope on your file, kind of going up. I'm happy if I can just get the file at a 90-degree angle and then get the right angle to the tooth. And what you can do to check that, and the way I found this out, was I put the video camera in front of me one time, and I noticed my file was off. So get your smartphone out and put it like right in front of you, and that's how you can tell whether you've got the right angle or not. And then the other thing you want to do is you want to try to have, the rule of thumb is 20 to 30% of the file above the tooth, but I'll be honest, it seems like it's more to me. It seems like it's more 30, possibly 40%. And then all you do is you just, there's a line on top of the tooth to give you the angle. If you don't have the angle there, you can get like a welding magnet. I've got some welding magnets for some chains I have that don't have the angle, and you can mount them on the bar so you have a reference point. You can mount your chain in the vise here and draw some lines on your vise. But I'm lucky because this chain I've got here has the lines on top. So all you need to do is put your file in the groove, make sure you're at a 90-degree angle to the chain, make sure you're at the same angle as the slope on the chain, and then just work your way across. And I am putting my pressure on this file, it's back and even possibly like a little bit up. And this chain did get hit pretty hard by something. And I'm just going to keep filing until all the damage is gone. Which somebody really rocked. They really rocked this chain. The damage isn't really going. Now this is what's known as a chisel chain. So there's a 90-degree angle on the point. You got to have a nice sharp point here. This is what's going to cut into the wood. Semi-chisel chain has a rounded corner, and it's much easier to sharpen. It's much more forgiving if you don't sharpen it right. But where we are now, we've got a nice straight line on this chain. You know, sometimes I'll look under and I want to see it's sharpened all along the whole way, but that's good. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to get our caliper out, and we're just going to measure the length of the cutter, and it doesn't even have to be on. We won't confuse everybody with that. So I got it there. Keep trying to turn it off, but if I move it, so I know that all my cutters have to be able to go through this guy right here. So then we can just move up to the next one, put the file perpendicular to the chain, same angle as the line on the top, and I'm pushing back. And boy, somebody really rocked this chain. Okay, so I got all the damage out of it. If I take my caliper, I've gotten a little bit shorter than the other one. Yeah, it's a little bit shorter. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as you're close. And then we'll just move on to the next one. If I'm doing what I consider a maintenance sharpening of 2 to 3 strokes, I'll count the strokes. But if I'm just trying to get a chain back to where it needs to be, I just go till I get rid of the damage, check it, and then I'll see if I got it the right length. I mean, this one's really taken a beating. Maybe somebody filed it once, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the whole chain and do, you're always filing from the inside to the out, so where the point would be the outside. So I'm just going to work my way around the whole chain and just do one side. And then I'll flip the bar over and do the other side. Didn't quite get my angle on that one. See how that's fighting me? I don't know if that's fighting me and grabbing the file because it's never been sharpened before, or because somebody hit something and the top of the tooth is kind of turned down and it's catching the file. But after the first few strokes, you hear how smooth that file is? Wear gloves, guys. If you slip, you don't want to catch this chain. This tooth here, there's not a straight edge. It looks like somebody took a sledgehammer and beat the front of the tooth. That's not cutting. That's just going to kind of bang out whatever wood is there. You want the tooth to cut. You hear that? You hear how that file's gliding across? Give it some strokes, it'll smooth out. There it is, it's smoothing out. So now that tooth is going to cut. Look at this one too. Man, this chain, I don't know if they were cutting a stump with this one. I mean, this, honestly, the chain, it's like it doesn't look bad, but when you look at the teeth closely, they're blunt. They're not cutting instruments, they're bludgeoning instruments. And what you'll notice I do when I get to the last stroke or two is I take a stroke down and I clean out the gullet, the bottom of the tooth there. You want to keep that clean so the chips come out. So this chain hasn't been sharpened many times, but usually the last stroke or two, I'll just, instead of stroking back, I'll kind of stroke down to clean that gullet out. Okay, we moved the camera, so hopefully you can see what it looks like, and hopefully I'm going to get this right. So I'm holding my file at a 90-degree angle to the bar. Let's see if I can do this with my elbow up. Looks like my chain's a little bit loose. You hear how that's chattering on the teeth? And then it smooths out. Last couple I go down. Check the length. Okay. There's no edge on this tooth. This tooth is like a sledgehammer. So we'll get some chatter. And then that chatter is going to smooth out once we get rid of the rounded edge. Last couple strokes I go down. Got the file at a 90-degree angle to the chain, 20 to 30% above. Honestly, I just put it to the bottom of the gullet. That's usually my gauge. And then I get the same angle as I've got on the top of the chain. This tooth isn't as dull as the other ones. Last couple strokes, go down. Check it for length. Okay, this one doesn't look horrible. Oh, that next one got dinged bad. Got my file at a 90-degree angle to the bar. Got my angle, the same as the angle on top of the tooth. I've got my file in the gullet, pushing backwards a little bit. That one's dull. You hear how the file is just gliding across? We're getting rid of the bumps right here. Last two go down. Okay, we changed the camera angle again just to show you what it looks like from this angle. So same thing. I'm going to put my file. Make sure my file is at a 90-degree angle to the bar. Make sure the angle of the file is the same as the top of the tooth. I've got my tooth in the gullet and I'm pushing back. First few strokes are probably going to be rough because these teeth are so damaged, and then it'll smooth out. And then the last two strokes I usually go down, 1 or 2 strokes. I'm usually doing this in quiet so I can think about what I'm doing, not what I'm saying, and it's much easier. And then we'll just check it, make sure we got the right length. Okay, this one is dinged pretty bad. I think we're going to hear some pretty awkward sounds when we first file this tooth. So, file on the tooth at a 90-degree angle to the bar. File is in the gullet, touching the bottom of the gullet. I got the angle of the file the same as the line on the top of the tooth, and I am pushing back that way. See how it's just sliding? It's just, the file is just sliding across this tooth because it's so dinged. Listen to the file, it's gonna smooth out. Here it's smoothing out now. Last 2 strokes, we were moving down. This chain is going to cut like greased lightning. Okay, file's on the chain, 90-degree angle. I'm in the gullet. Put the angle of my file the same as the line on top of the tooth, and I'm pushing back that way. That one wasn't that bad. Last 2 strokes, I'm going down. Check the length. Booyah! Okay, what's the first thing we do with the file? That's right, 90-degree angle to the bar. What's the next thing we do? That's right, we put the file all the way down in the gullet. Next, make sure the file is at the same angle as on the top of the tooth. And finally, we push back that way. Got to get through the chatter before you get the sweet sound of the file. Last 2 strokes, going down. I'm going to do a couple more back. Okay guys, this is the last tooth on this side. So you guys tell me what to do. What's the first thing I do? That's right, you put the file at a 90-degree angle to the bar. What's the next thing you do? That's right, you make sure your file is all the way down in the gullet. Next, that's right, you put your file at the same angle as the line on top of the tooth. Finally, what do? That's right, you push back that way. Oh, you hear that chatter? Are you saying it's chattering because it's so dull? That's right. You got it. Okay, I've got my tooth as sharp as I want it to be. What do I do now? Last 2 strokes? That's right. I'm going to go down and clean out that gullet. There's going to be some crazy goings on when this saw hits some wood. If I was on the saw, I would just move my body to the other side and I'd be filing this way, but that's not going to work for filming. So what I'm going to do, I know, did I sharpen this one? I think I did. Yeah. Hear that? I sharpened that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the one I marked to the bottom so I can tell which side I sharpened. That looks good. This is the tooth I marked. So now, if I was filing on my chainsaw, I'd have the motor and the saw right here. Because I'm using this Chainmeister, I can flip it over. You can't, there's no way to be able to file the same side every time, or I haven't figured one out yet. Let me know if you have. But now I can file this side, and it's a lot more comfortable. For me, when I file this side, I take more metal off quicker. When I pull the file towards me, it takes more metal off quicker. So usually when I'm doing maintenance sharpenings, I take less strokes on this side. For now, all we want to do is just get that nice sharp tooth. Is my bar crooked? I don't think it is. So, file's at 90 degrees. I'm in the gullet. I got the same angle as the top of the tooth. I'm pushing back this way. Looks good. Last 2 strokes, I'm pushing down. I didn't quite get that one. You have to be real careful when you're sharpening. If every stroke you take with the file is at a different angle, you're not going to have a straight line across the top of your tooth. Your tooth is going to it's going to have like 3 or 4 different angles up there. So you got to really watch the top of your tooth and make sure you got one straight line parallel to the line at the back of the tooth. Move to the next one. Got the tooth sharp. Last 2 strokes I go down. Okay, for the next few, let's do it in real time, and we'll pretend you guys aren't even there, and I'll just do it like I'm just relaxing, sharpening my saw.